Welcome back to All Action Sports. If reports are to be believed, Liverpool are looking at Mark Gahey, right? It is very likely right now that Gerald Kwanzaa will be signing for another club. It's been somewhat of a rumor, well, not a rumor to be fair, that Gerald Kwanzaa's style was not completely fit for Slot. Slot wasn't so keen on Gerald Kwanzaa, and he's one defender that was actually seen to be one that was up and coming for England. You know, as an England centre back. Obviously, his performances for Liverpool in the last season, right? Last season was one that caught the eye and essentially put him somewhat on the map, right, for many to start describing him as a future England centre back. Obviously, there's a lot of competition there, basically, but he definitely was someone that stood out because he came in, slotted in next to Van Dijk quite well, and did a fairly good job. Especially due to the fact that it wasn't a great season for Liverpool at the time. There was a lot of trials and tribulations they had to go through, but they were able to get out of it. They were able to get out of it. Finish the league obviously in a respectable manner, and Gerald Kwanzaa definitely stood out in replacement of Joe Gomez and Konate that were basically on the injury table. So now here that Liverpool could be replacing Gerald Kwanzaa, right? A promising centre back with one that is somewhat still very young, but I would say quite established now at the same time, right? Mark Gahey. It just means that this is how Liverpool could be lining up next season, guys. This right here you're looking at. This is a very, very strong back four. And even if Mark Gahey doesn't walk straight in, right? Having him as a replacement for Konate, guys, this is a very formidable back line, right? One that's protecting one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Liverpool are looking very, very strong. But I mean, you got Frimpong. He's already like tied down, right? He's someone that is bombing, likes to bomb up and down, right, on that right hand side, given freedom by Xabi Alonso, right, to basically just go out and just do what he does, basically. And essentially someone that has already adopted the English kind of style of play, and you could tell that by his performances in Germany. Alonso just kind of probably realized that, wow, this guy's very powerful. He's fast paced. Someone that he presses very regularly, a lot of energy. He's like, just listen, just do you, just reinvent that side, right, the right back position, reinvent it just how Trent reinvented it in general, right? Reinvent it like in your own way, but in Germany, because you're definitely a different prototype to what we already have here in Germany and how they usually play, like how right backs usually operate. He was just a completely different mold. Frimpong was. So he's essentially done that in Germany right now. He's brought another he's almost, I don't want to say exactly that to give the boy too much praise, but almost revolutionized the right back type slot basically in Germany. So bringing it to the Premier League is going to be exciting to see what he can deliver. So him and Bradley are two for not just for the now, but definitely for the future as well, right? So that was a solid signing that they made. Kirkes, right, is probably going to be the most underrated signing for Liverpool, we believe, saying that due to his the value, right? Let's just use that, the price tag, right? His age and the performances, which means that the overall value they're going to get for this guy is going to be absolutely immense. When you look at it from the amount of years he has ahead of him, he's the youngest of this back four, right? And he's the one that is, people will say, probably the most, I want to say energetic, but the same can be said for Frimpong, right? But Kirkhead is just, for those that have been watching the Premier League, he's just been a beast. Beast. His performances somewhat supersede him in terms of, you think to yourself he's actually a lot more, old, a lot more, he is further along in his age, is what we're trying to say, basically, right? So he plays like he's someone with immense experience, but at the same time he's got that youthful exuberance. He'll make mistakes, obviously, being a younger person, but funny enough, he plays as though he's mature enough to not make those mistakes, if this makes sense. So Kirkhead is a very unique proposition, right? Because many top clubs should have been in for him and just trying to secure his services, because this is one for not just now, but like I said before, long-term future. So for Liverpool to have acquired these services, right, slot him in, looks as though Robertson would now be looks as though he's looking at Atletico Madrid have agreed a deal is looking like, and if not, well, that's been the talk of the town. So Robertson shall be transferring and leaving that position vacant for Tsimikas to now, finally, I guess, claim the first choice left back slot, no pun intended, until Kirkes comes and they begin dueling it out. Eventually, it looks as though Kirkes, by maybe mid half of the season, Kirkes would 100% rubber stamp it. But people will say, well, he's going to, and that's what it is, and he's now first choice left back. I think he's gonna, if you have respect for your own club, I think he's gonna have to work for that. His level at Bournemouth was high, and it was just one that put everybody on notice that, yeah, this is someone we need to look at. But you don't want him just walking, straight into the Liverpool team. Someone that is, this young, that still has a lot to learn as well, being at a big club, because this is a different level we're talking about right now. So we're gonna look at the development of this player and just hope that Liverpool protect him, by making sure they have their first choice left back, which should be Tsimikas for now. Just slowly bed him in, but he's not gonna need any bedding. In at all, out of all the new Liverpool signings, he won't need any bedding in. We're talking about if Mark Gahey is still obviously is one that's still a rumour, but is not finalised like all these others, the Verts and Frimpongs. So he's the one that won't need any bedding at all. Kirkes, he's gonna just hit the ground running. He's just all he's going to be looking at is just for patience, to essentially allow him to get used to the play. Frimpong has been in England, I believe he started at Manchester, is that, if I'm not correct, Manchester City, in fact. So he's very familiar with even some of the young players, the younger players that have slowly become established, like the Fodens, I believe is it Cole Palmer's, Jadon Sancho's. So Frimpong is actually one that is very used and suited to the Premier League. So probably give him pre-season, and he'll probably, by the time the first Premier League game 2025-2026 season rolls in, he's going to be firing on all cylinders, to be fair. And if they last but not least, if they were to get Mark Gahey, he's another one that will not wouldn't need any time to bed in at all. The fact that they've been able to make all these potential, anyway, the last one, Mark Gahey, potential signings, it's quite frightening, right? There's got to be a lot said about the recruitment at Liverpool. It's been happening for a few years now. They might argue for longer than that, but I mean, come on, like, yes, that's for you. You guys know your insides, and you know what's going on there, you know, inside the club. But it's been happening for, you know, a couple years now, where they've been able to really get good players on at prices where people might, you know, raise an eyebrow and be like, okay, how they you know, pulled that one, you know, out the bag. You can look at even with what's his name, Chiesa, right? You look at Chiesa, and it's like, even though he was, you know, injured and people were saying, oh, he's past his best or whatever, or he's not the player he was before, the price that they got him for was one that definitely raised eyebrows. You know, it's the first time it's ever gone, you know, this high, right, and become the talk of the town when it comes to forking out, you know, player funds on a player, which is Verts now, right? So that's the first we've ever, well, of this era. Let's just be very, very clear, of this era. That's the first we've, you know, witnessed basically from Liverpool. But usually their signings are ones that, yeah, it's just very, very I don't want to say the word questionable, but and also I don't want to say impressive, but just in between that, right? In between questionable and impressive, right? Because it's just you kind of wonder how they've pulled out the bag. Sometimes you hear of the tapping up stuff, but let's be honest, everyone taps up, you know. So even when you look at, for example, the guy on the screen right now, Van Dijk, you know, there were rumors of him being tapped up before at Southampton before he made the transfer to Liverpool. So, but we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Just want to kind of just really ask people, what do you think about this? If Liverpool were to land like this, is this a guaranteed retention of the title? Right? And when you look at the potential signing they're looking to make up front, right? What the guaranteed one already, and then the others, does that attack now allow them to realistically look at challenging for all honours? Mainly the one being the Champions League as well. If we want to just be non-candid about it, is that what we're looking at right now, guys? And should the Premier League really take note? Because this lineup is not one to scoff at all, right? Yes, it will be one that they all need to start working. That's the only thing, is once they bed in, they need to start working with each other in tandem straight away, basically. What better defense is there? I mean, Arsenal will definitely, you know, argue that, that's one that we definitely agree with. Especially at one point in time, Arsenal definitely had the stats to back that up, right? Arsenal defense was probably the best for especially, was it last season, I believe, and coming into this 2024-2025 season, Arsenal defense was definitely one, you know, that would put up there as one of the, you know, best. But this one looks like it's going to just solidify itself, because I think Liverpool, their defense has proved that, you know, they're the ones they're a force to be reckoned with within the Premier League, right? When you add in the goalkeeper as well. But this one just makes them a staple, right, and gives them that title of probably the best defense. Let us know what you think, guys, man. If this is one that worries you at all, or if not, you just don't care. You're sick of Liverpool, you know, stories by now. News articles or sources coming out about who they're gonna sign. You're sick of it, but yeah, this definitely is, personally for us, looks like a title-winning defense. They've already won it before, so yeah. But let us know what you think, right? Signing out. All Action Sports.